Hey guys, this is Paul Lynch. I'm coming to you from the road. One of my sons is competing at the U.S. Kids World Championships at Pinehurst, and I wanted to make this video. I got several questions overnight about this outbreak that happened in a camp in Georgia. And what does that mean for reopening of schools? And so I just wanted to quickly kind of answer this. And I'm doing all this from memory. Normally I have my computer here to double check facts. So if I get anything wrong, I'll fix it in the notes below. But I read the report and wow, pretty incredible. Let me give you the facts and then I'll give you my interpretation on what it means for schools. So the facts were, there was a camp with almost 600 kids in Georgia. It was June 21st to the 27th. The camp counselors actually went the week before to get prepared, and that's kind of an interesting part of the story. Everybody at the camp, including the counselors and the kids, the counselors were a little older, like teenagers, and the kids were 6 to like 15 years of age. The average age at this camp, by the way, was only 12, so these are pretty young kids. But everyone was required to have a negative coronavirus test before they came. So I think that gave everyone a lot of assurances that they wouldn't get coronavirus at this camp. So once the kids show up on like June 21st, within like 2 days, one of the counselors comes down sick, and within 3 days, they sent everyone home. And someone, even like myself, if you said, hey, the kids are there exposed for 3 days, what percent of them would have got COVID? I think I probably would have said 5 or 10%. That would have been my guess. They tracked down as many of the kids as they could, and of the ones they found, 76% of the children tested positive for COVID. Just want to say that again. They were at the camp for 3 days. They were really only on the ground from June 21st through the 24th, and 76% of them, while coming in negative for coronavirus, tested positive in a 3-day period. And so that's pretty incredible. Lots of people have been sending questions. Does this mean we can't open school? What does this mean? And so I want to go through some of this, and as I normally do, try to be really unbiased and just kind of give you guys the facts. I think there's some things that they did really good and there's some things they did bad, and I think we can learn from that as we open school. So first of all, they had like 15 kids sleeping in a cabin, and I just think that's kind of a bad idea. I think as we look at opening schools, we need to limit the pods probably to 10 or less. They didn't have windows open. There's been a lot of recommendations from the CDC to open windows and to increase ventilation in areas, and they didn't do that. They were indoors doing like singing and chanting and cheering, and that's just a terrible idea. So if you're a school administrator and you're going to be doing schools, assemblies just don't make a lot of sense. And at this time, singing and cheering and things like that don't make sense, especially indoors. The counselors wore masks, which made sense, but the children didn't. It's not 100% clear how many of the kids were wearing masks, but the way the reports read say that they weren't required and they weren't really encouraged. And so the sense I get is most of the kids weren't wearing masks, which we know is going to be a big part of spreading the disease. One really interesting thing that I found was that there was this theory for a while that younger children are less likely to get the disease. And the data from this study showed that the younger you were, the more likely you were to get it. So they use a concept called attack rate, and they divide it by the total number of kids at the camp, not by the amount that they found. So it gets a little confusing. The average attack rate was 44%, which was the amount of positives they found by all the people at the camp. It was actually 76% positive from the people that they found. So it gets a little confusing, but they used attack rate, and 44% was average. But if you were 6 to 10, you had a 51% attack rate. And if you compared the 6 to 10 year olds to the 18 to 21 year olds, the younger kids were 50% more likely, actually 55% more likely to get COVID. And so, so here's my take homes with all that as the background. We have to take this virus seriously. I think we are hurtling towards opening schools, and honestly, I'm fairly supportive of opening schools. If you get a chance, watch my video on my YouTube channel talking about how we can open. I think children need to get back to school. I think we need to be educated in this country. I'm supportive of opening schools, but with a lot of caveats, and I make a whole video on this, so I'm not going to repeat it now. But if we are going to open schools, let's look at this story in Georgia as a cautionary tale of how to do it safely. And I'll just repeat a few things we can do to make it safe. Pods, small groups, like 10 or less, and they're not interacting with everyone else. So if someone gets sick in that 10, they don't infect 260 people. There's no reason to mix 250 or 300 or 400 people together. So no assemblies, no people meeting in the gym for announcements. No, these kind of things are just going to increase the spread. Everyone at school should wear masks. The children, the teachers, everyone should wear masks. We should increase ventilation. We all need to start looking at this concept of ventilation, how to open windows. I live in Arizona. It's going to be really hard, but ventilation is going to be key so the air can keep flowing through. Let's put aside this idea that young children aren't going to get it. Let's embrace the idea that if they do get it, it's okay for them. By the way, in this study, at least from what we can see right now, there's been no hospitalizations, there's been no deaths. The kids did great. The question is, of those 260 people that they found that were positive, who did they bring it home to? Did they bring it home to grandma who's 72 years old and have diabetes, or grandpa who maybe has cancer and is going through chemo? That's the key. Let's not embrace these ideas that the children aren't going to get it. Let's be honest that they may, and then be really, really smart about who they're being exposed to. So I'll put a link to my video on opening schools below. I just wanted to review this case. I hope that's helpful for you guys. If you have any questions about the data or what happened, feel free to put them below. God bless you guys and stay safe. I'll see you next week. Bye.